You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters Elderscrolls series. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. 2 hours later. I swear this trip better be worth it. Why a mountain? Naruto said as he was thrown off a cliff that seemed just as bad. Why didn't you use the steps? Bodhi asked, seeing the dragonborn attempting to climb up the mountain and was befuddled. There are steps. Naruto asked, as the mountain was an odd one in his opinion, as he had no general knowledge of it, as few traveled it, and all he did get was that there were trolls there. Did you not cross the bridge leading directly to the steps? Bodhi asked, pointing to the bridge. I'm more through than around. Naruto said as he and the others, while using a caravan, went through different areas not on the main roads, hoping to avoid detection. Come then. The sun is going down. You should try again at daylight tomorrow to walk the 7,000 steps, Bodhi said. Naruto was a little glad Maven was taking care of some business, as he got a certain feeling from the mother. Also sorry Mara, but I guess I'm ruining one of your marriages. Again, he thought to himself. So long as you complete the task I will not interfere with your love life, Mara's voice rang out in his head. The task is going to be completed. Naruto thought, as he was sure the daughter wanted a piece of him as well. I suppose you're right. I should head to my room at the inn, Naruto said as he was gonna make his way to the inn. Oh, I'm not letting that barred hussy get to you before I do. Bodhi thought aggressively. I'll join you. I think you could use the company after all, and I wouldn't mind getting a drink, Bodhi said to him, smiling. Naruto smiled as he brought her to his room, as he kept drinks there. Glad Maven was as much an alcoholic as Tsunade. And almost all other Nords. 1 hour later. Bodhi was a little tipsy as she drank with Naruto. Matching shot for shot in his room with the Dragonborn. So what do you want to drink next? Naruto asked as they had blown through bottle after bottle of mead. Bodhi felt a little more bold given how much she drank. I'd like to drink from you, she said to him with a stuck look in her eyes. We shouldn't, you're married. And you have a daughter, Naruto smirked. My husband hasn't touched me in ages, he lost the strength to raise his sword. Bodhi whispered into his ear, and my daughter is an imbecile. I'll make you a deal if you take me and show me the rumors are true. I'll let you take her up and use her to keep you warm on the long trek, she said, very corny and very flustered. While also knowing any threats on the mountain were child's play for Naruto, be they wolf or troll. So the deal is break you and I take your daughter with me as my juice dump? Sounds good to me now strp, Naruto smirked at Bodhi. Bodhi undid some ties and her dress fell to the floor, her body strong and supple. She had DD cup melons, and a nice round peach. Your husband is a moron not to touch you, Naruto smirked, seeing how easy it was for the MLF to obey his order. Let us not speak of him and only focus on us tonight. Bodhi said, not realizing that after he'd touch her she'd be his for eternity. Very well. Maybe after I leave you begging for my PP I'll bring you up with me as well, Naruto said as he strpp'd off his armor, revealing his chiseled Adonis body and rock-hard breaker of a PP on full display. Bodhi saw that the rumors did not do him justice, as she had to catch herself from dropping to her knees. You wanted a drink, right? Let's see you use that mouth of yours to guzzle it, Naruto ordered. Bodhi dropped to her knees and crawled to him slowly, taking him in. She never had something so large in her mouth before. She looked up to him to look into his eyes like a good lover, and as his eyes were that of a predator and she was his prey. I see that mouth open but not eating. Naruto told her as he pointed to his PP, best change that. Bodhi was both eager and fearful as she did not want to disappoint him. Is this what all Dragonborn are like? No, he's special, he's something great and powerful, she thought as she could tell that Naruto was above everything. Jarls, gods, Daedra. None held a candle to him. He was to her perfection and lust incarnate. Guess you're still in shock, so I'll just use your mouth myself since you won't move it, Naruto said as he was tired of her not doing what she was told and grabbed the Nord wife by the back of her head before thrusting her gaping mouth onto his hardened PP. Bodhi in shock as she was usually the one in control during SEC and never had a partner who could just command her like she was nothing. It was very exciting to experience. DMN, I didn't think you'd ever given a BLWJB before, but your mouth actually feels good. Naruto smirked as he held the woman by her head onto his pages, making her slurp on his PP. It's a lady's duty to always please her lover. Bodhi said as many of Naruto's lovers would agree to that statement wholeheartedly. Ah, but are you even a lady or just aware now? Naruto smirked mockingly. For you I am both. I saw those two women with you, Lord Naruto. I will serve you as they do, and so will my daughter as well. Bodhi said as her daughter would serve Naruto like the SLT she knew she was. I'll deal with your daughter after I ruin your holes. For now though my first order is for you to SCK me off and swallow my juices like the devoted where you claim to be, Naruto told her. Bodhi was eager to taste this man's seed as she knew it would taste divine. After all, he was strong, wild, and so spiritual. His seed would taste like nothing she ever tasted before. Resuming her BLWJB, the MLF doubled her efforts around his pages, hoping that she'd get the chance to taste his juices as soon as possible. Hoping to taste her lord's divine essence. That's a good wear, Naruto mocked with a smirk. She can do better, MSTR. Maven said, making her presence known, spooking Bodhi, but Naruto's hand on the back of her head prevented her from letting go of his PP. You better be prepared for what's to come, as there is no turning back now for you or your daughter. As you offered her, she is his by right. Maven said with a grin, remembering how she offered her own daughter to Naruto. The where knows that. After all, she wouldn't have sought me out if she wasn't ready to be mine, Naruto said simply. I just wanted to be clear, MSTR. Maven said as she bowed to him. You should turn her. Make her wild with lust and have her her own daughter with you, she said, as it would be a delightful sight. I could also make her do that without turning her, Naruto smirked, knowing it would be child's play. True, but this one is getting on. Let's give life to this body again, MSTR. Maven said with a smile. Oh, very well. Naruto said as he lifted Bodhi's head of his PP and revealed his fangs. Bodhi screamed as she felt him bite her neck. That's power, SLT, true power. Make your daughter useful enough and she'll be bitten as well. Maven said as Naruto was making his lovers work for their change, or he did it when it benefited their task. Bodhi stopped screaming as her wrinkles disappeared. Her hair, once short and graying, turned long and blonde, and her eyes looked at Naruto in pure devotion. As far as anyone would know, she was dead, as no one would believe she was who she said. You will need to feed my new pet, Naruto said. Allow me, MSTR, I kept stock. Maven said, taking out a few vials of BLD potion, which contained small chunks of heart for the werewolf side they had. Maven opened a vial, but rather than pour it into Bodhi's awaiting mouth, Maven drank it and kissed Bodhi, swapping spit and the potion with a searing kiss. Bodhi felt her burning hunger calm, as now she felt powerful and strong and full of life. Bodhi, the wife of Jofthar, is gone. You are now Bodhi, the wearer of the Dragonborn, Maven said after breaking their kiss with a smirk. I will break my daughter for you, MSTR. She will no longer be someone with her head in the clouds. I will make her worthy to be turned in order to serve you, Bodhi said in pure SBMSN. We will do that tomorrow. For now though, I wish to break in your now youthful CN, Naruto told her, as while he never leaked from the BLWJB, he figured it was time to F the devoted MLF. Bodhi was rather eager, as she felt vigor like she had never felt before and wanted to ride Naruto. Will he let me bear his children? She thought as her WMB burned with longing at that very thought. I shall leave you to your newest SLT-MSTR, Maven said with a bow. As Maven left, she was curious about something as she left Ingen to get information out of the daughter or make sure she was ready for Naruto, as vampire magic came in handy when wanting to get answers, especially those as naive as Bodhi's daughter. Maven walked over to Fellstar Farm to see how Ingen's information gathering was going and came upon the sight of her daughter behind the farm with the daughter fast read in a trance. Dear daughter, how has the information gathering gone? Maven asked Ingen. Not much to get, she has a very empty head, but she now desires our MSTR. I only made sure she never forgets it. Ingen said, as this girl while a version was a tease craving excitement and adventure while having no real loyalties. Ingen rectified that with a few more permanent commands. Don't play with her head too much, daughter. You know how MSTR likes to break them in himself after all, Maven warned her daughter. I only made sure that she will not be aware to anyone else, mother. Once our MSTR graces her with his seed, I'm sure you and I will have some fun with her. Ingen said, as she was eager, as Fastred was going to need to earn her place with them, and that was no easy task. And what of the other potential concubines for our lord? Maven asked, as there were 2 other prominent women in this village. I'm sure our MSTR will give it to them once earned, he loves us after all, mother. Ingen said, as her mother blushed as she felt the love her MSTR felt for her, and it was magnificent. I meant, did you come across any information to help our lord? Silly girl, Maven said. Only hearsay, as the Greybeards are truly secluded. Ingen said, as her mother nodded, having similar results. The Greybeards will have their secrets revealed to our MSTR in time. However, what information did you come across for the bard or the mill woman? Maven asked, as she wanted to know if Ingen heard anything in regards to them that could help their lord claim them. The mill woman has a hatred for bears, so that will be a way to claim her. The bard on the other hand will spread her legs for Voin simply enough, Ingen said to her mother as they heard screams. Bodhi was unable to suppress her as her inner beast was crying out from being near its MSTR. MSTR, thank you for this gift, I shall not waste it, she said as she reaching new heights of pleasure at his thrusts. The only way you'd waste my blessing is if you renounced your service to me, Naruto told her simply as he thrust it hard and rough into her PP. Never. I am your servant and SLV, your bee who will forever please you. My body and soul belong to you. Bodhi yelled as she screamed, feeling his seed enter her. He can keep going, she thought, somehow knowing this was not the end of the pleasure he was going to give her. I wonder. Did your husband ever take your other hole? Naruto asked with a smirk to the MLF on his PP as he rubbed a finger around her peach. Bodhi was nervous, as many had made the joke of how Bodhi sounded like Peach and her peach was fairly large. It drew in many gawkers. But no, to this day her peach had been unspoiled. No one has ever claimed it, my MSTR, she admitted nervously. Then I guess I'll break it in myself, Naruto said as he pulled his PP out of her PP before inserting the head into her peach slowly. Bodhi shuddered and as she felt the PP of her MSTR slowly entering her untouched depths. Oh God, MSTR. It's so big. Bodhi as she had never had anything up her peach before until now. You do realize I've only got the head in, right SLT? Naruto asked with a wicked smirk. Bodhi's eyes widened in shock that he was barely inside of her and she already felt so full. Bodhi screamed, feeling him get into her peach. She'd never felt something there ever, let alone something so big inside there. And now she had a massive sick head inside her peach. You should know that with my women I do everything to them in all their holes. Naruto smirked as he thrusted his PP further inside her peach. Now pushing 1/3 of his PP inside her. Bodhi has read and heard about many things girls have been doing, and it often made her embarrassed never having done it herself. Her husband was an okay lover but was very quick. Just 1, 2, 3, go to sleep after. Naruto on the other hand was a beast. A feral animal mounting her like a stallion. Taking her like a piece of meat. She screamed even louder as his PP entered halfway into her peach. As he used her peach hold till morning. Next morning. Bodhi was exhausted and felt like she learned so much from her new MSTR and desperately craved to be wrecked by him again. Naruto was ready for the Greybeards, but he was given a request to hunt for some bear skins by Temba Widearm, the mill owner. I do need the BLD and heart material. He thought as he did like to take advantage of jobs like this. She asked for 10 pelts. He'd give her 20 just to access her body. After all, she was fairly attractive with her. She had large DD cup melons, a firm round peach, and her body was well built. So Naruto wanted to get her task finished before being up on a mountain for who knows how long with no potential PP in sight for again who knows how long. Naruto walked off into the woods with a kunai knife whistling a jaunty tune. 1 hour later. I swear her peach better be grateful. Naruto thought as he carried 20 bear pelts, having to remove the BLD and the hearts for later use. He also tanned them with some fire magic. Oh, you're back, huh? Got my 10 bear pelts? Temba asked. No, I got you double what you asked for. Naruto said, presenting them to her. What do you want, a medal? Temba asked sarcastically. This be. Naruto thought, giving her a slight glare which had the opposite effect to usually making men and women SHT themselves in terror. In Temba's case she immediately moistened. And he could smell her arousal with his werewolf sense of smell. Guess she has a thing for being dominated but couldn't find a man to put her in her place. Till now, Naruto thought, smirking. Temba could tell right away this was more than just a man, as he seemed too powerful for that. She guessed he had to be a werewolf given his physical abilities. Let's see if he's an alpha or if he's all bark and no bite, Temba thought to herself. Say, Blondie, how about you help me out with something in my office? Temba asked. Naruto rolled his eyes as he followed her to a mill office, but was somewhat surprised to see many well-made furs as furniture and bed spread. All of this is handmade, he thought to himself as he guessed she did both killing and making of the furs. Naruto looked over the bed, seeing the blanket was made from a sabercat. I strangled that one to death with a bowstring. Temba said, smirking. And what do you intend to do with me? Naruto asked her, knowing she knew who he was as he saw her pick up a silver dagger. I swear the silver hand is dumb, he thought, as silver only hurt the dead. That depends. Are you an alpha? Or are you like the last one I killed? Temba asked, gesturing to a werewolf rug on the floor. If you killed him then he couldn't have been a challenge, Naruto mocked her. Clearly dash, was all Temba could say before Naruto made a slash move with his hand and her clothes were cut like ribbons and fell to the floor. Not a scratch on me, she thought, knowing skill when she saw it. If I wanted you bleeding or dead I'd have done so immediately. However, I have other uses for a hunting were like yourself, Naruto smirked wickedly. Temba placed the dagger down in SBMSN as she knew she'd be dead before hitting the ground, as this man was by far no means an easy kill, and that excited her. Don't just kneel, I want to hear you submit to me. To see your pride be thrown aside, all for the goal of serving me. Naruto ordered, having fun with messing with her ego and pride. I submit to you, Alpha. This huntress has finally become prey. Take what is yours as is your right, and I shall serve you loyally. Temba said as she kneeled to him, unashamed by her NDTY. Naruto approached her, looking at her furs, impressed by the skill she seemed to possess as he saw a few troll skulls and the werewolf pelt spoke for itself. He cut his wrist. Do you wish to be considered an equal to me? Then drink, he said as she wasted no time and drank from his BLD. Temba felt the change immediately and looked at the man who caused it. Her senses heightened beyond belief and saw him for what he was, a god and she a mere servant. He is more than an alpha, he's the apex predator, she thought to herself. Naruto wanted to make her realize what type of predator he was. He looked to the nearby fireplace and used a shout. Y'all, the whiskered dragonborn roared as he blasted fire into the wood of the fireplace, lighting it for a warming, appealing fire. Temba stared wide-eyed at this, having heard the legends of the dragonborn and others who learned the dragon tongue like the Greybeards or Ulfric Stormcloak. Do you understand what I am, my dear? Naruto asked, smirking. Yes. Temba said as she now knew he was the man of legend. The Dragonborn. Reborn once more into Tamriel. Then I want you to service me. Wrap those thick lips of yours around my pages. Naruto ordered as he pulled off his trousers. Temba didn't need to be told anything else as she dropped to her knees and worshipped the PP of the man she would forever serve. DMN, you have a talent for this. Bet a lot of guys wish they could have done this to you given the mouthing off you give others. Too bad for them, I own you now, Naruto smirked as she was giving a decent BLWJB to start. Swirling her tongue around his PP quickly. If they stood up to me as you did, I may have respected them. Temba said as no man had the ball to challenge her or even fight her. A hunter of your talents is wasted here, maybe I should have you do hunting for me. Naruto said as he only gave jobs to those capable. I will do whatever you demand, my liege, Temba said reverently to the Dragonborn. Ideas for later. For now keep putting your mouth to use, Naruto ordered the Nord woman in between his legs. Temba immediately went back to work. Audibly eating and slurping on his PP as if she was a PP addict getting a fix. Naruto groaned as the woman worked her mouth on his just as he had ordered. Forget hunting, I may keep you around as my PP sleeve with this mouth of yours, Naruto groaned as he moved a hand behind Temba's head and gripped her hair. Please do. Temba said as she'd love to do that for her new lord. Who gave you permission to stop eating? Naruto growled as he used his grip on her hair and slammed her mouth back onto his PP. Temba audibly gagged as Naruto's PP was shoved down her throat. His strong grip making it so she couldn't escape. He's gonna strangle me with his pages, she thought, thinking it'd be a hell of a way to go. Your throat is tight. Naruto out before he used his grip to slam in and out of her throat. In a throat F to end all throat F as he used his power and speed to slam into Temba over and over again. Temba couldn't speak in response. She could only audibly and GG as his PP slammed into her over and over again in a rapid-fire face and throat F. Next morning. Temba normally would have been furious that she ruined her bed furs with her juices and her MSTR seed, but the F she received made it all worth it. Especially since even while they slept Naruto was still F her. That was how much of a monstrous beast the Dragonborn was in the sack. Do I have anything left to do? Naruto thought out loud as he made a business deal with Temba, saying he'd buy her one of the few sawmills he passed by, thinking it'd be good money and an expansion on her mill to other holds. All while he was her brains out making her scream and call his name, making him pretty sure everyone who lived in Everstead heard her praising him as a god. I think I'm ready to head up those steps, Naruto said aloud as he gripped one of Temba's swinging tips as he thrust it up into her snatch. Oh God! Will you take me with you, my lord? Temba at his ministrations. No my dear, I have a task for you, so I'll be going up with fast red, Naruto told her as he twisted her NPL with his fingers. Temba pouted at that before yelping as Naruto pulled her NPL roughly. No pouting SLT. I won't allow my wares to get jealous of each other. Naruto said to her. Are you gonna F the Bard B as well? Temba asked curiously as she wanted to know about any future Bs in Everstead aside from Fastrad. Naruto was reminded of her as he did hear some good things about her singing, and I did get rid of the old bard in Whiterun, he thought to himself as he did like a little song here and now. Thank you for the reminder SLT. As a reward, how about I knock you up? Naruto smirked as he moved his hands from her tips to her peach and groped her cheeks. Please. Temba said, crying out in pleasure and longing, her WMB on fire from the mere thought. Take it you be. Naruto yelled as he fired yet another load up into her TWT. Flooding her WMB once more with his juices. Temba screamed loudly as she climaxed from feeling his juices flood her depths once again. She was so loud that a mirror next to the door literally broke from her screaming. 1 hour later. Naruto drank at the bar inside the inn. As he downed some black briar mead, he turned to see a appealing blonde Nord woman strumming on a guitar. Let's see, should I offer her a job as my bardic were straight up, or should I slowly stuck her over the course of this evening? Naruto thought, weighing his options. The bard saw him and gave him a SNSL look. Or she could be a total SLT and leak to me. Naruto thought as he could practically smell the lust coming off her. As he finished his mead bottle, the bardic woman walked over to him, swaying her hips in a strut as she played her lute softly. "Would you like to make a request, my lord?" she asked, batting her eyelashes. "Yes, may I have your name?" Naruto asked her with a smile. "I'm Linley Starsung," Linley said as she did a curtsy. "Well met, I am Naruto Namikaze," Naruto greeted. Linley just smiled as she examined him, thinking his armor made him seem more attractive. "Is there anything song you'd like requested, my lord?" she asked as she leaned forward, pushing her cleavage in front of his face. "Oh, there are many things I'd like to request of you," Naruto said to her as she smiled. "For a song it's 5 gold. Anything else requested may be a bit more," she flirted out lustfully. Naruto pulled out a coin purse and dropped 30 gold pieces on the table. "What'll this get me?" he asked her simply. "A night of fun," Linley said flirtatiously. "And what about this?" Naruto said, dropping 5 sacks each having 100 gold in it. Linley's eyes went wide in shock. "Whatever you want for however long you want," she purred out after recomposing herself. "Good, because I intend to make you reach the high note continuously," Naruto said to her with a grin, seeing her blush. Naruto grabbed Linley's arms and pulled her into his lap. "Now do you want me to bring you to a room, or would you like me to wreck your fine peach on this bar here and now?" he growled out, uncaring if others were in the bar or not. Linley knew she had a reputation in this small area, but to openly F in her workplace. "You know what, I'll settle this for both of us." "Yo, barkeep!" Naruto shouted at the inn owner and tossed him a sack with 100 gold. "That's for you if you get yourself and everyone to leave while I conduct a business meeting with your bard here," he said, seeing the man carry out his task as he was guessing the man never got tipped that much. "And look at that, all alone next to a bar," Naruto smirked at the bard in his lap. Linley was quite nervous as she had never been given so much attention before. Usually she charged 15 gold a night for a guy. "Now then, I want you to get behind the bar there and get me a mead," Naruto ordered as he gestured to the bar with his head. Linley worked fast and got him a chalice for him to drink from. "Nope, I want to drink from this," Naruto said, pointing at her large chest. "Not the most bizarre request I've had." Linley thought, as most of the men that hired her were freaks and she usually charged extra. Linley pulled her top down slightly and poured the mead from the chalice down her chest, letting the liquid dribble down her udders onto the bar top as she leaned forward for Naruto to drink from whenever he was ready. Naruto began to drink from her chest and gently massaged her tips as he did so, seeing her tips harden from the attention. He then pulled down the top of her dress and began to lick and suck at her tips, as if he was ling booze directly from her tips rather than outside on her chest. "Anything else, lord?" Linley asked as she was a little eager as he was hitting her sweet spots unlike most men she had been with. "Get out of that dress and get your salty body on the bar top," Naruto ordered after he finished sling her tips. "I swear I am basically ever Nord's fantasy," Linley thought as she was covered in Nord mead, on a bar, and completely naked and willing to have sec. She was willing to bet every Nord would pay top dollar for this. "Now spread those legs of yours and pull open your PP," Naruto commanded the bard bombshell. Linley blushed as, being a Nord herself, she craved a strong partner, and this man was definitely strong. She laid down and spread her legs apart before using her hands to pull her PP apart, directly in front of Naruto's face. Naruto stood up and strppd his clothing off and soon got naked and got on the bar and began to lick Linley fervorously, making her scream out in pleasure. "Guess your past partners never ate you out, huh? Well, guess what, we can make this a regular occurrence if you want. I have a job offer for you." Naruto paused his eating to tell her that detail. "Whatever it is, yes," Linley said, not wanting to miss this opportunity as this job meant nothing to her and she felt this man could introduce her to a new world of excitement. "Eager, huh? Very well, here's the job. I'll be bringing you to the Bannered Mare in Whiterun as they need a new bard. You work there and keep all the money you make for yourself. No cut for me. In exchange I own your body. To use as I please whenever I please, Naruto told her. Yes. Linley said as she thought that sounded amazing as a better job and incredible SEC was something not to pass up. Naruto smirked as it didn't take much to convince her to agree before he started eating at her end once more, making her scream. His tongue hit her most sensitive spots over and over again, making her and screams more frantic. And he paid me for pleasure. I should be paying him. Linley thought in her mind, beginning to haze from the multiple climaxes. Tasty, but now my Bardic, where it's time for your new job's first task, Naruto said after stopping his eating and started to rub PP against her folds. Go ahead and destroy me. Your sword looks like it could destroy any woman. Linley said as his PP was truly impressive. Naruto smirked before he thrusted his length into her pages. Groaning at her surprising tightness despite how many past partners she had. You are really tight for a wear, Naruto grunted out. I'm this tight for you. Linley said as she shouted in pleasure as she felt her inner walls clamp from his mere presence. I'm sure you say that for all the men who flash you some gold coins, Naruto smirked. But with you I truly mean it. Linley affirmed as she from the sheer size of his PP in her. Naruto smirked even wider as he started to move into her tight pages. Pounding into her TWT fervently as if it was all it was good for was his pleasure. Oh, by the gods! So thick. Linley out lustfully. Get ready, wench, for my load. Naruto said as she was very amusing to hear scream. Yes, my lord. Fill this lowly wench with your honorable seed. Linley begged. Naruto made a mental note to her more often as she was truly loud and he liked to aggravate certain people with his SXL prowess. Mainly husbands, boyfriends, and guards. Take my load, you dumb CNT. Naruto roared as he let his release out. Flooding the barred wench with his seed. Linley saw stars as she felt her WMB be filled with Naruto's seed. This man is a god. Ulfric Stormcloak is nothing to him. I'll serve him, be it as a bard or PP ornament, Linley thought as she climaxed heavily. Spraying her juices all over the bed. Next morning. Did you have fun, MSTR? Maven asked coyly as she saw him the bard as his latest conquest. Poor girl couldn't hold on to her sanity, she thought as her MSTR truly knew how to break a woman. Best bard I've ever dealt with, Naruto said with a grin. Considering the only other bards he knew were John Battleborn and Michael, it wasn't saying much. Glad you are sated for time being, MSTR. Maven said, sending him a wink, and I hope this trip will be to your liking as we cleared the way earlier, she said as she and her daughter cleared the way of wolves and a troll and other nonsense. Thank you, my dear. When my meeting with the Greybeards is done, I shall reward you both. Naruto said as he stood up from the bed. We look forward to it, MSTR. Maven said with a flushed face as she panted and had a predatory grin. But for now Bodhi should be bringing her daughter by the mountain steps. So I shall be breaking her in along the way. Naruto said as he started to dress himself back in his armor. Ah, young naive foolish people. How I enjoy them breaking. Maven said as like her MSTR she liked to break people mentally as they were either too dumb or trusting or believed in nonsense one hears in stories. She is mine to break, my dear. In the meantime you will have the bard and your daughter to play with while I meet the Greybeards. Thank you, MSTR, I will be sure to train them. Maven said with a bow. Good. Now I must be off, Naruto said as he walked out of the inn, armored and geared up for the meeting with the Greybeards. In case any wolves were hidden when Maven and Ingen slaughtered them. Few minutes later. Prove your worth, daughter. Bodhi thought to herself as her daughter belonged to Naruto even if she didn't realize it yet. So Klimek asked us to run the supplies for the Greybeards up, mother? Fastred asked her mother. Indeed, my daughter. Naruto will accompany us in case of attack as he has business with them as well, Bodhi said, hiding some of the truth from her daughter for now. Naruto soon enough arrived to meet the mother and daughter and smiled in greeting them. Bodhi was glad she had gotten a carriage for the trek, as 7,000 steps was a bit much even for them walking. They have carriages for the trip up there? Why do they need steps? Naruto questioned, seeing this. I don't know, they rarely if ever come down, and it might be some kind of priest nonsense. Bodhi answered, as she had seen many priests do many questionable things when the simple solution was often available. Just get in the carriage please, you too. Naruto sighed, as this was just weird. Even for him. The mother and daughter shrugged as they entered the carriage. Bodhi letting her daughter go in first. Are you ready, my lord? She whispered to her lover. For the trip or your daughter? Naruto said, caressing her peach, gripping and squeezing it tightly. Yes, Bodhi said with a smirk to her lord. Smack. Don't be a smart-ass. Naruto growled huskily into her ear after he spanked her peach hard. Bodhi panted as she watched him get inside the carriage with her daughter before she followed inside. 30 minutes later. This still feels weird to have a carriage going up steps, Naruto said before the carriage suddenly jerked to a stop, sending Naruto's face into Fastard's melons due to the jolt. It's easier this way and the steps are few in number. Bodhi said, not reacting to her daughter who was blushing up a storm. We cannot take you any further by carriage. There's a blizzard. The driver said. Bodhi went to him and gave him a look, using her new magic to make this man her servant. You will bring us to the troll cave, she ordered as the driver nodded. Good, I don't like having an audience of the male persuasion. Unless I'm cucking them. Naruto said to her in a quiet whisper. Of course, my lord. The troll cave is not much farther, she whispered back. So mother, why are we delivering this and not Naruto, since he was on the way anyway? Fastred asked her mom, as she didn't understand why they were there and never got an answer. Because I was hired to assist with another task that's on the way. Bodhi said, not revealing that the task was given to her by Naruto and it was to help him F her own daughter. Oh, are we searching for something for the farm up here? Fastred questioned. She is so lucky for her looks. Bodhi thought, as most of everything was frozen up here, the only thing that'd be worth looking at is the berries and other small fruits that could grow. We have arrived at the troll cave, the driver said in a monotone voice. Wonderful. Let's get off this thing, Naruto said, standing up and exiting the carriage before walking over to the troll cave. And seeing the corpse of the troll stabbed into the cave wall by 3 daggers. Nice work, Maven, he thought, seeing the daggers all hitting lethal points, and could tell she threw them all at once, hitting each target while pinning him to the wall. Brr, it's so cold up here, Fastred said as a wind suddenly blew, shooting her dress up. We could strp down and huddle together for warmth. Bodhi said plainly, wanting to push her daughter in the right direction. Sounds good, Fastred said as she started to strp till Naruto held a hand up. May want to get in the cave first, he said, as if she did this outside she would freeze to death. Few minutes later. Bodhi was smiling as her daughter's eyes were glued to Naruto's large swinging PP. You could club a horker with it, Fastred thought, not knowing Naruto's PP had slapped many women who thought of it as a club or weapon. We need to huddle for warmth, daughter. It's not fair if he's the only one, NDE, Bodhi said, smirking inwardly as she started to strp herself. Slowly. Fastred didn't know why, but she was captivated by her mother's appearance, as she knew her mother retained her youthful glow, but her body was incredible. Your turn, daughter. Unless you'd rather freeze, Bodhi said innocently as she sat next to Naruto, nuzzling into his neck, making her daughter jealous. I apologize, Mstr, I gave you a poor dowry with her, hopefully she'll learn or you will break her into learning, she said, whispering into his ear, as her daughter had yet to guess or realize the current events taking place. She has 15 seconds or I'm F you instead, Naruto growled as he was tired of being wound up. That's more incentive for me, Mstr. Bodhi said with a grin. F it, let's show her what she needs to do then, Naruto said as he gestured to his PP. Fastred was shocked when she finally untied her clothing. She saw her mother blowing Naruto without shame and seemed to take great pleasure in it. Listen, Fastred, you belong to me, your mother gave you to me, I own you and her, meaning I can and will F you till your mind is mush. Naruto said as Bodhi in agreement. Mother? Fast Red stuttered, shocked at this info. He speaks the truth, daughter. We belong to him, and more than that, he made me like him. Bodhi said, flashing her eyes at her daughter. Mother, what did he do to you? Fast Red asked, scared. He set me free, made me feel like a woman again. He is a true man. A god to be worshipped, and you will worship him, daughter, because if you fail him in any way, I'll kill you. Bodhi said to her, making her tense up seeing how serious her mother was. I'm impressed now. Naruto smirked at Bodhi as he wasn't expecting that. She really was devoted to him now. Here's what's gonna happen, Fast Red. You're gonna crawl over here on your knees and join your mother in servicing your new daddy. Or you heard what my said she'd do, Naruto said, smirking. You left father. Fast Red said in shock. Your father is a weak farmer. Naruto showed me my place at his feet. On my knees like the where I am. Like the where you'll be. Bodhi giggled as she ate Naruto's pee-pee. Fast Red was corny and afraid, as even after all this she still felt Naruto stir something deep inside her, and her own mother had given her to him, something that made her nervous as he owned her then. Clock's ticking, daughter. Bodhi told her, giggling in lunacy as she gripped Naruto's pee-pee with her hand and waved it. As if beckoning her daughter to debase herself. Fast Red approached them, seeing the looks in their eyes which made her all the more nervous. It's even bigger up close, she thought, seeing his member, and felt an incredible heat coming off it. Come on, daughter, get to eating, Bodhi ordered as she slapped Fast Red's cheek with her lord's massive pages. She wanted her daughter to break. To debase herself and join into the debauchery. Fast Red slowly took his member into her mouth, and the more she took in, the more she felt like she was choking herself. Weak daughter of mine. If you're gonna choke, then choke on it all. Bodhi said, grabbing the back of her head, and made her take it to the base. Fast Red gagged and slobbered as she started to choke on the large pee-pee shoved down her throat. Tears in her eyes as her mother held her head down, making the pee-pee stay shoved inside her tight throat. Oh, what's this, daughter? You're getting off on being choked by our lord pee-pee, Bodhi giggled as she saw how wet her daughter's pee-pee had become. Maybe this is how we should treat her, like a wild animal. Maybe never allow her to wear clothes again. Naruto said to Bodhi, who smiled at the suggestion. Well, it would be an improvement from the nonsense that she normally gets into. Bodhi said with a smile, not caring how her daughter was treated, as she was now only meant to pleasure Naruto. Maybe we should make her take a new name too. Fast Red seems too nice a name for a lowly animal after all. Naruto grinned down at the daughter choking on his pages, looking at him through teary eyes. We'll have to think on it, Mstr. Do you hear that, daughter? Your new father is making you our pet. Bodhi said, smirking at her daughter, who could only GG in response. Speak up, pet. We couldn't hear that, Bodhi smirked viciously. Does it matter? Pets don't speak, Naruto mocked as he pet Fast Red's head like a pet. Fast Red felt shame as her pee-pee had a CLMX as Naruto and her mother debased her, treating her like property and an animal which needed to obey her masters. Milord, are you close to your release? Bodhi asked her. Mstr. Yes, why? Naruto asked. Do not leak inside her throat yet. She does not deserve to have your seed directly flowing down into her stomach yet. Leak in the snow and we'll make her lick it up like the worthless animal she is, Bodhi grinned wickedly. Naruto had to admit the snow part was a bit extreme, so he decided to leak on Bodhi instead and made Fast Red lick it off her mother. Lick it off your mother instead, pet, Naruto ordered after he leaked on Bodhi's face and tips. Bodhi in delight as her daughter was eating her body, getting all of her Mstr seed. I wonder if you'll ever be worthy of the gift Naruto has given me, she said as she looked down at her daughter. Perhaps if you begged him like a good SLT he may consider it, she said as she knew her daughter well and she didn't think she was worthy, but it was her Mstr's gift, so she'd refrain from talking. Fast Red looked at Naruto and bowed her head. I am an unworthy where to even be in your presence, but please use my worthless body as your plaything however you wish. I am only useful for pleasuring you and your godly pages. She said, completely broken in mind after the throating earlier along with her mother's comments. This is all she was good for now. I'll have you trained and maybe I'll consider turning you in the future. For now though present yourself to me like the pathetic SLT you are, Naruto ordered as she belonged to him. That was the end of story. Fast Red nodded as she turned around to face her peach towards Naruto, still kneeling in the snow, and moved her hands to her peach cheeks to spread them and expose her peach and PP to her lord and MSTR. Please use whichever hole you longing MSTR, Fast Red said mind broken. I will have to heal her later. Bodhi thought to herself as she forgot with her daughter still being human she still had certain weaknesses and the pounding Naruto would give her would certainly leave a mark. Or several. Naruto walked over to her and knelt behind her in the snow. Without hesitation he plunged his PP right into her pages, making him groan at her tightness. Fast Red meanwhile bit her lip to keep from screaming as his PP impaled her depths. Don't bite your lip, daughter. Let put your screams and like the dutiful where you are, Bodhi smirked as no woman should suppress the pleasure Naruto gave them. Oh. Fast Red let herself out quietly after releasing her for her new lover and mother to hear. Naruto smirked before he spanked Fast Red's peach making it jiggle. Louder, he ordered the daughter as he thrust it into her roughly. Fast Red now let loose her screaming so loud her home village should have been able to hear her. She was crying out to the very heavens as Naruto brought her to a new plane of pleasure. One she had never felt before. How does it feel to know your place on your knees for our MSTR daughter? Bodhi asked with a smirk, seeing her daughter's mind broken by her lord. Amazing, Fast Red panted out. How does it feel, my lord, to have a mother and daughter as your loyal slaves? Bodhi asked her lord reverently. If I'm to spend time with wrinkly old men may as well get a nice helping of your peach. Naruto said to Bodhi as he intended to F her after he was done with her daughter wanting to take the edge off of going to the Greybeards. Of course, my lord. My body exists only for your pleasure. I am a toy for you to use as you see fit, Bodhi breathed out as she kneeled and bowed to him as he wrecked her daughter's CNT. 3 hours later. Naruto felt like he had gotten his fill and left Bodhi to F and keep her daughter warm, till he got back to the cave. Naruto marched up carrying the sack of supplies for the Greybeards before dumping the sack in a chest outside and walked straight into the temple. Naruto didn't know why, but the air around the Greybeards was different than normal people as they felt like him, but different all the same. At last the Dragonborn has arrived during the dawn of the new age, one of the robed monks spoke as he walked over to Naruto. Flanked by 3 other robed monks. You summoned me so here I am, Naruto stated. We must first test that you are Dragonborn. Please use your shout on me so I may confirm, the same monk spoke to Naruto. YOL. Naruto said as he performed his shout breathing fire into the air, I've been through this before I just used a shout no one not a Dragonborn could use, he said as Maven had the same kinda doubts. You certainly have the spirit of a dragon. I welcome you Dragonborn to our temple. I am MSTR Arngeir. With me out my fellow Greybeards Masters Bori, Wolfgar, and Einarth. Do direct any questions or comments to me as they cannot speak without potentially collapsing this mountain due to the power of their voice, Arngeir explained. Naruto felt there was more to this. While learning a word is an impressive feat you must also learn that there are 3 individual words to a shout and with each word comes even more power. Arngeir said as he did a separate shout for 2 words that appeared on the ground. Naruto stared at them and soon felt them flow into him along with Arngeir's knowledge seeing they were the last 2 words for his first shout, Fus Ro Da, he said, unleashing his first completed shout into a Greybeard statue. Sending it flying into a wall and shattering. You know we could have summoned a spectral foe for you to test this on, right? Arngeir said seeing an antique statue broken into tiny pieces as Einarth silently grabbed a broom and dustpan. Sorry was in the moment. Naruto said rubbing the back of his head. 30 minutes later. You are a fast learner Dragonborn but this is where we send you on your mission to retrieve an artifact only the Dragonborn can reclaim and to impart this knowledge onto you. There are places where dragons leave their Thursday as no dragon wishes for their language to die, but sadly each word is often guarded by a dragon or dragon priest meaning you will face them in order to properly learn and increase the knowledge of your shouts. Arngeir explained. I have so many questions, Naruto said. And we will answer them after you retrieve the horn of Jurgen Windcaller from Ustengrav, Arngeir said simply. And that is? Naruto quirked an eyebrow. The Greybeards, while mysterious, were courteous enough to give him a location on the Skyrim map. It's a Nordic tomb, Arngeir explained as he showed Naruto the map. 4 hours later. I hate Draugr. Naruto said as he was using silver weaponry as he knew it was extremely effective against the undead and didn't want his job to be even harder. Especially since he was alone. I hate when I miss my shots on skeletons, Bony F, he thought, irritated as he often aimed for vital points on instinct and no organs meant he hit nothing. Better get used to decapitation, he thought, seeing it as the most effective way to kill. After beating a skeleton's head to dust with his bow in frustration from missing his arrows yet again, Naruto came upon a word wall written in draconic language with a word glowing. This must be a dragon's den, but where's the dragon? He asked himself as he absorbed the knowledge of the become ethereal shout. He shrugged, seeing as there was no dragon. Maybe a previous dragonborn slayed them and absorbed their soul or something. Naruto continued through the burial chamber and opened a large set of doors. Thinking on the other side would be the horn. You have got to be F me where the F is the horn. Naruto said as he disliked failing missions. He looked however where the horn would be placed and saw a note. The hell? He said as he grabbed the note and read it. This is a woman's handwriting. Naruto thought, seeing more grace in the penmanship, and given how he wrote runes with Tsunade he could more easily spot the differences in handwriting. I need to speak to you. Urgently. Rent the attic room at the Sleeping Giant Inn in Riverwood, and I'll meet you, signed a friend. Naruto read. I swear to Talos I better be getting something besides the DMN horn for this CRP, Naruto groaned. 4 hours later. Word of advice: don't lean too much on the paper. Leaves a scent. Naruto said to the waitress at the inn he just arrived in. I'm sorry. She asked, feigning confusion. Your note: sorry to tell you, but I am very pissed. I had to kill a bunch of skeletons, corpses that could shout, not to mention run from Everstead to Morthal and from Morthal to here in 4 hours each way with no horse, so stop playing dumb or I will personally shout at you with so much power you are sent flying. Naruto said to her venomously as he hated being given the runaround. Very well. So you're the new Dragonborn. You don't look like much, she said simply, seeing as it was only her and her husband in the inn aside from Naruto. Naruto unleashed his magicka as it had been steadily growing bit by bit with each fight he had, along with his other skills since he had arrived in this world. Now his patience was being tested by this unknown woman who interfered in his quest for some reason. Okay, you have 5 seconds to explain what you want, or so help me by Akatosh I will burn this place in a torrent of flames and screams, Naruto said, officially done with this idiocy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 0 dash. Naruto was counting down as his magic built up but was cut off by the woman quickly pointing a dagger at his throat. You're good, she said as she felt a blade at her ribs just as she had held hers to him. 2 things: I'm faster and I will stab you here and now. And I can stop that blade in an instant, and even if you cut my throat I can heal physically and have a great aptitude for healing magic, so who do you see walking away? B. Naruto said as he was done with this CRP. Fine, I'll tell you why I brought you here and even give you the horn of Jurgen Windcaller as a show of good faith. She said as she handed him the horn. The horn was coming with me regardless. Naruto said, following her to a secret room. I'll make this quick. I need your help. The world needs your help, the woman said. Naruto decided to humor her as he was guessing this was important and saw certain markings on maps. I'll give the bee this much, she certainly likes to get accurate information, he thought as he knew of dragon graves, but all of them were considered sacred places mostly by those who worship Talos. The dragons aren't just returning. They're being resurrected. By something. I need your help. I believe a burial ground at Kynes Grove will be next. I want you to accompany me. 8 hours later. Never in my life have I gone this far for a woman I wasn't screwing. Naruto thought to himself as again he was running behind Delphine as they reached a grave site after seeing multiple people running for their lives. screaming about a black dragon in the sky. Arise Solokner. The large black dragon bellowed as he was sending magical energy to the burial site to resurrect the dragon. I need to get stronger. Naruto was hidden behind a large rock thinking about his magic and his shouts as he was at peak physical condition as it was. I know you are there, Dovahkiin. Reveal yourself to me, the black dragon. Alduin. Naruto said, knowing the son of Akatosh. You are well read. Alduin said, as many knew his name not so much his origins. It's hard not to know of the World Eater, Naruto said as he stepped forward drawing his blade. You are of no interest to me, pray. However, you are a threat to my goal. Thus I shall allow Solokner to devour you, Alduin said as a dragon skeleton arose as flesh started to restore on it. After a few seconds the dragon was revived fully. Orochimaru would love this guy. Naruto thought as Alduin was raising the dead with no consequences whatsoever, and of course she rushes in. When did I become the level-headed one, he thought, seeing the Breton woman charging at the dragon with a katana. Die, foul beast. Delphine roared as she stabbed Solokner in his wing, and it did nothing to the dragon. Naruto tackled her as the dragon unleashed a breath attack on her. You wanna survive with your CC Peach intact, then let me handle this, Naruto said as he dashed to the dragon's side. FO, he said, icing the wing, stopping it from flying. I love how fire and ice contradict the other, he thought to himself, as the opposites always worked on the separate dragons that used them. Curse you, Dovahkiin. FO. The dragon fired his own frost breath at Naruto. A dragon that uses two, that's new. Naruto said to himself as he rolled away. Y'all, both yelled, unleashing a torrent of flames that collided. Neither gaining demps over the other. Wrath. Delphine yelled as she came up underneath the dragon and slashed his neck before running away. Solokner roared in pain at this as his flame breath ended. F idiot. Naruto thought, having to stop his breath attack as he didn't want to burn her. You let a mortal fight your battles, Dovahkiin. You are a disgrace to the dragon BLD in your veins. Solokner yelled. Trust me, I don't even know this woman. I fight for me and with honor. Naruto said to him as dragons prided themselves on one thing, honor. So you say yet do nothing. Solokner roared, swiping at Delphine with a claw, who rolled away. Fuss row. Naruto said, shouting at her, sending her skidding a good distance away. There, now it's just us. Naruto yelled as he leapt up onto the dragon's head and stabbed it with his sword, reaching its brain. You've beaten me? Solokner questioned in shock at his quick defeat. Join your brethren's souls within me. Be at peace once and for all, Naruto said as he absorbed the soul of Solokner into him. Few hours later. Listen, pal, if you keep pushing me I will kill you. Naruto said as he brought Delphine back to her inn. Luckily for him she was unconscious, but her husband Ordner was pissing him off, demanding to know what happened. You think I don't know what you do, Dragonborn? The rumors? I know my wife and her group served the Dragonborns of old willingly. I do not need you to take her away from me, Ordner glared. Yeah, buddy, your wife was giving herself to me and not the fun way. Naruto said, standing perfectly still as the man punched him in the face, hurting his hand. That's your only free shot, he said to him as he gave him that. Ordner. Stand down. Delphine's voice called out as she hobbled out of her room, dazed as she went and sat at the bar. No. I will not allow you to risk your life and capture by the Thalmor. You risked your life enough, my love. I will not let you serve this BSTRD, Ordner said with a firm look. Don't I get any say on who serves me? Naruto said plainly, as this was stupid. I am a Blade Dragonborn. We served the Dragonborns of old as warriors and their personal guard. Until the Thalmor hunted us down and executed us. It is my right work under you, Delphine said. I tried, Delphine. I tried to support this, but I cannot. The ancient ways are over. I love you, but you will not see reason. Ordner said as he started to walk away. I will not let your escapades endanger others in Skyrim. I will alert the Thalmor. I'm sorry but the good people of Skyrim should not suffer because you cling to the past, he said. Naruto wasn't sure when, but Delphine pulled out a dagger and stabbed her husband through his back. We blades do not take betrayal well, Delphine said to her dying husband. Aela loved you, he said softly. You did. But perhaps you did too much. Delphine said softly as he was a man of his word and if he thought about telling the Thalmor then she could not risk it as that was a torture she wouldn't wish on anyone. Ordner expired in his wife's arms as she brought his body down to the basement. You okay? Naruto asked her as that was heavy. As annoyed as he was with the two he didn't expect her to kill him. Yes, loyalty is an aspect all blades have dragonborn and we are now loyal to you and shall serve you in any way you need. Delphine said, taking a knee. Pretty sure all the women I screw would make the same oath. Naruto thought to himself. So what happens now? Naruto asked. Now we must find any information on the dragons and plan our next move against Alduin. I have a plan though. You'll be heading to Solitude for a party to gain information. Delphine said as she stood up from her kneel. A party? Naruto quirked an eyebrow. A party at the Thalmor embassy. I can sneak you in with some help to see if the Thalmor have any knowledge or connection to the dragons returning. Delphine explained. A political party huh? Maven can get me in easily I suppose, CRP I left Fast Red and Bodhi on the mountain, Naruto groaned out as he had been gone for at least a day now, hope Bodhi hasn't F her daughter to death, he thought as he needed to send Ingen to collect them and give her the horn along with a note to give the Greybeards. Maven Blackbriar? Delphine quirked an eyebrow. Yes, but I want you to know I didn't waste my DMN time as I traveled with you, I stole your book on the blades and learned what I could. Naruto said as he didn't like the fact that this woman knew of him, yet he knew jack about the blades so he educated himself, I know your rules, policies, and code. I see. Very well I shall meet you in Solitude. Delphine said while Naruto went to Ivarstead to retrieve his women. Solitude 3 days later. MSTR, I will endure everything for you, but are you sure this is how you wish to proceed? You shall hate an event like this. Maven said looking like the royal she made herself out to be as her MSTR dressed like a king all his women knew him as. I absolutely will however I think despite my mission we may be able to sneak off somewhere, Naruto said as he adjusted his nobleman's clothes. Delphine's contact Malborn is not only working at the party but was able to sneak his gear inside for when he has his moment to sneak around the embassy. Him and Maven however were currently sitting in a horse-drawn carriage on its way to the embassy. I would be honored to relieve your stress with my holes MSTR, Maven purred out. Business first my dear, Naruto said as the carriage came to a stop at the embassy. The two stepped out of the carriage. I will make everyone my servant if I have to for me to please you. Maven said as her gold eyes shined for a moment before becoming normal. Let's save that as a last resort my dear. Naruto chuckled at her as the two walked over to the doorman asking for invitations. Maven smiled as they ventured to the party after showing their invitations. Naruto linked arms with Maven when a haughty female voice drew their attention. Maven Blackbriar how lovely it is you could make it, the two looked to see a high elf woman in Thalmor robes approach them. Lady Elenwen. A pleasure to see you again, Maven feigned a smile as even before she became loyal to Naruto she hated this woman. No one liked the Thalmor. Maven was also glad she informed Naruto of all the potential these women gave him for certain circles to further his reach. And who is this man you are with? He's not someone I've ever seen before, Elenwen asked inquisitively. My newest husband Naruto Namikaze the Dragonborn. Maven said as the women were silent as they looked at Naruto and to their shock he shouted fire into the fireplace to prove it. It's him, a random voice spoke up in the hushed crowd. And he married Blackbriar, another voice said stupefied. Well my boy you sure keep things interesting, Jarl of Whiterun Balgruuf chuckled as he walked over to greet Naruto. Naruto smiled as he finally saw some familiar company, Jarl Balgruuf it's been far too long, Naruto smiled at him in happiness to see him. I'll say. You've been gone for 2 weeks from Whiterun and already gained a wife. Should I alert the women of my hold of this? He smirked at Naruto. Wouldn't do any good. Maven thought as many women would still pursue him. How is that dark elf you hold closely? Does she dare crave a taste of Naruto? Maven said with a smirk. Irileth? She is my housecarl Lady Maven. Who she chooses to go for is her own choice. Besides, I'm happily married, Balgruuf said with a chuckle, taking no offense, thinking it was a joke about how close he was to Irileth. Wasn't talking about you, but alright. Maven thought to herself as that just meant another potential SLT for her lord. So the Dragonborn has come, a female voice drew Naruto's attention as a regal woman walked over to him. I don't believe we've met before. Might I inquire your name? Naruto asked politely. Jarl Elisif of Solitude. I was the first Jarl to sign your status for all of Skyrim to hear and obey to, Elisif greeted with a kind smile. The High King's widow, Naruto thought, not expecting her to be at this party with the civil war going on. Maven knew that when Naruto's return had been announced many were afraid, but the widow wanted him to have as much freedom as possible as he was fighting dragons, something each hold has heard of by now if not had suffered from a dragon attack. I apologize my Jarl for not realizing sooner. I humbly thank you for your faith in me, Naruto bowed, playing the part of a grateful party guest. You need not bow. Here I am but a humble guest, Elisif said to him. She's right Mstr, not when she'll soon be bowing to you. Maven thought as the widow was an amazing person to have in his HRM, as the doors she could open were larger than even her own. Greetings. Might I offer you all something to drink? A Bossmare servant woman carrying a tray of drinks asked the small group of party guests politely with a smile. I'll take a Colovian brandy my dear, Naruto smiled as the attractive servant woman handed him his drink. 1 hour later. Maven smiled as she made some subtle moves to extend this party a little longer to tomorrow, as she got the guests to make this a small gathering to discuss trading, and their host was gracious enough to lend them all rooms for the stay, as Maven may have bribed her with a promise of a shipment of her famous mead. You should gather your information now, my lord, while they're distracted. Return when you have it for a reward, Maven purred to her Mstr in their bed as she licked his cheek. Naruto nodded. I'll be back soon, he whispered as he followed Malborn to where his gear was and silently made his way through the embassy for information. Now who should I bring in for Mstr to play with, she mused to herself, scanning the room. As much as she'd love to bring in the 4 attractive women at the party, it would raise too many suspicions from the other guests, so she decided one would do for tonight and allow her Mstr to work his magic overtime on the others. 30 minutes later. Geez, they were SHT at hiding info, Naruto muttered to himself after scouring the embassy and finding the info in a torture chamber. The info pertaining to a blade named Esbern the Thalmor were tracking down, as well as information on the Stormcloaks and Empire Civil War and their plans for it. Frigging corrupt psychos, Naruto muttered as he entered the bedroom he was sharing with Maven. Welcome back Mstr, Maven said happily with a lustful smile as Naruto gazed at her NDE form on the bed. Were you able to get anyone else? Naruto asked, stripping down as he knew Maven wouldn't be here alone if she could help it. Nothing escapes you Mstr. Come out you 2-inch, Maven said as the closet to the room opened up as 2 figures stepped out. The Jarl of Solitude and a Thalmor ambassador? Naruto questioned, admittedly a bit surprised. He wasn't expecting these 2 high-ranking people in his bedchambers so quickly. This one took a bit of convincing, Maven said, gesturing to Elenwen. She is a Mstr lusting for power and would be an amazing pawn, as the Thalmor are her servants willing to fulfill any order given by her. I thought this would be very useful to you and the Jarl. Well, she is in need of a man, and with her you could lay claim to the throne that is almost as equal to your greatness. She said, as in truth Elisif was easy to convince, as she was a worshipper of Akatosh and the Dragonborn was his chosen. And what of your husband? He died fairly recently if I recall, Naruto said, as he knew just from looking at her that Elisif truly loved her husband before he died to Ulfric. He would not wish for me to wallow in sadness and would rather I move on. However, before you break me I have one request, Elisif said. And that is? Naruto questioned. I want Ulfric's head for what he did. Elisif said seriously. I'll do you one better. I'll end him the same way he ended your husband. Naruto said as he was not liking the Stormcloaks at all. What with their racism to elves and other non-Nords. He respected the religious reasonings of their civil war but not their racist leanings. Then I shall become your woman. So long as you swear on the dragon blood in your veins to end him. Elisif said. I swear, he said before Naruto decided to bite them, making them hybrids, as it would be best if they were prepared for certain attacks as both were well known and definitely hated. Be it from Stormcloaks, the Empire, the Thalmor, or some random homeless person. Oh, the power. It's intoxicating. Elenwen said as the transformation subsided. But remember your place, SLT. Maven said, not wanting the elf to get an even bigger head than before, wanting her to understand her proper place. Elenwen knew now deep in her bones the Dragonborn being her enemy would not be good, and this fire in her loins was a result of feeling his incredible power. Elisif on the other hand, after the transformation subsided, immediately kneeled before Naruto submissively. From this day forward, I serve the Dragonborn. Elisif said without any hesitation. Knowing now he truly would end Ulfric Stormcloak. Here MSTR my personal seal, all Thalmor will obey your commands and do anything you ask. Elenwen said to him as her seal was basically a royal passport to her people. And I shall give you my seal as well. So any in Solitude will know of your status, Elisif said as she produced a golden necklace with the Solitude insignia on it. Now that you've proven useful and my MSTR has awarded you his most sacred gift, it is time to fulfill your new duties and STRP. Maven said as both women were dressed as Naruto and herself were comfortably NDE. Elisif and Elenwen without any hesitation immediately STRPP'd their party attire from their bodies. Within seconds the two were naked as the day they were born before their new king. Do your new concubines please your eyes enough, my MSTR? Maven asked her lord. They do, and you did an excellent job picking them. Naruto said, giving her Peach a nice slap, making her jump in delight. Thank you my MSTR. I live to please you, Maven out. And now so do they. Naruto smirked at the two NDE women. Which of you should I play with first? He mused aloud as he gazed at the two politically powerful women. May I suggest the elf MSTR? She has always been in need of learning her place as the queen, submitted like a proper SLT to you. Why don't we let them decide instead? You two beg for me to use you. I will pick the one who begs the most depravedly, Naruto said with a smirk. F me MSTR, I cannot go a night without having my servant Brila's eating my PP, making me have multiple orgasms till I fall asleep. Elenwen said as if she was trying to act depraved, but it came out super serious. No please MSTR, ruin my body. I haven't been F in years. I'm so pent up and need to be used by a man. Elisif begged unashamedly. I choose you. Naruto said as he grabbed Elenwen and threw her onto the bed. The High Queen all to myself. Maven said, finding the irony of her, basically the one who runs Rift 10 now having the most powerful woman in Skyrim at her mercy. You'll be very good for my business, our MSTR's business SLT. Doors will now fly open for us as we'll be able to work in the shadows and the light. Maven said, smirking, thinking of the possibilities. I will decide whether your business is worth it, Maven. You are not my superior. I am yours, Elisif said with a confident smirk. Naruto had made her loyal to him and his cause, but did not make her Maven's underling, it seemed. We shall see. Maven said as, while it was true, she had no problem making her submit to her like she made her own daughter. Try me Blackbriar, Elisif said confidently to Maven. Meanwhile Naruto had crawled on top of Elenwen and straddled her large chest with his hardened pages. She gripped her melons together as he inserted his PP in between the valley of her cleavage. Have you ever F an elf MSTR? We have much stamina to go with our long years. Elenwen said with a lustful smile on her face. You'll be the second elf I'll have broken, Naruto smirked at her as he started to move in between her large melons. making them jiggle and shake with each move despite her grip on them. Whichever elf will not compare to me mstr, Elenwen out as his hot PP moved in between her melons. We'll test that comparison once I use your holes. And speaking of which I see your mouth moving but not eating, Naruto told her with a small displeased look. My apologies. Elenwen said as she put her mouth to work for her mstr as she ate at his PP head when it poked through her melons. Sigh. I didn't mean lick it, Naruto said as he grabbed her by the back of her head and forced his PP into her mouth. I meant actually SCK it you uptight B. Naruto ordered as he slammed her face on his thick PP. MMPH. Elenwen as his PP was thrusted down her mouth, thrusting into her throat as she gagged and choked on the thick PP of her new MSTR. How's she doing, MSTR? Maven asked while fingering Elisif, making the Jarl enjoy the show while playing with her sinful body like the toy it now was. It's fun breaking in such a mean and uptight B. Naruto said as it was in Uzumaki's nature to be attracted to willful personalities, and then dominate them. Glad to hear it MSTR. Maven grinned as she pulled Elisif by her hair. Give me a kiss for your new MSTR to enjoy seeing where, Maven ordered. Elisif kissed Maven with a fiery passion as she showed Maven the love she had for their MSTR. Before she pushed Maven onto her back to the bed. I told you I wouldn't be dominated Blackbriar. You may be his top B but I'm gonna make you mine, Elisif growled before pouncing onto the Blackbriar matron and started pawing at her tips with her hands. GRPNG them for a show that their MSTR could watch while face FING an arrogant elf B. Elisif loved the power she had as while she was a fair queen/jarl, she was also a warrior. She knew Maven, for all she was never knew the hardships of actual battle, unlike her which tipped the balance in her favor with her new powers as she grabbed Maven and forced her to the bed. You are nothing Blackbriar, I knew who you were before this and nothing has changed, you are a SLT and your holes are now being put to use by a real and true man, but never will I bow to you, she said with a grin whispering into her ear. You think you can break me Elisif? Go ahead and try it, you pretender to the throne. The only reason anyone even listens to you is because your dead husband was a king. At least the power and empire I amassed was earned by me. Not because I spread my legs for a man with a title to his name, Maven told her defiantly with a glare. I spread my legs for him now B. Do not think that makes you superior to me. Elisif said to Maven with a glare. All while gesturing at Naruto who was watching them intently while using Elenwen's face as AFO. Will you two just F each other already? I want to see a show not two where sitting around arguing over who's the better SLT for me to have as my headbee, Naruto told them as even the woman who was choking and slobbering on his member was annoyed by them and taking the fun out of eating his member. Sorry my king. Elisif said before she grabbed Maven by her hair and shoved her tongue down her throat while straddling her stomach. Elenwen choked on Naruto's member as she felt his seed gushing into her stomach making the dinner she ate seem unneeded as she felt even fuller than she ever had before in her life and as he pulled out, he shot his load onto her face dousing her in his seed. If he sprays me anymore I'll look like a farmer, she thought thinking of the snow elves now long since becoming grotesque creatures. Not bad B. You proved you have some actual skill in eating pages. Guess that mouth of yours actually has a real use. But now is the time for a different hole. Naruto told Elenwen as he grabbed her by her hair and pulled the Thalmor ambassador to her feet. Thank you my lord, Elenwen told him before finding herself being shoved onto the bed right next to Elisif and Maven making out and playing with each other's bodies. Elenwen screamed as her body was manhandled as with her position she never truly had anyone brave or as bold as the man before her have his way with her body treating her like she was less than her station, like a common ware. You know after all the SHT the Thalmor caused to Skyrim I mare so many men would love to put your B peach in your place. But unfortunately for them I own you now. Including your every hole to FSLT. Naruto roared as he slammed his PP into the Thalmor's PP in one fell move. Elenwen could only scream in joy and drool as Naruto was destroying the intelligent woman's mind as he F her. My troops better serve him to the letter, if he wants them to die then die they shall, if he desires to F the women in the streets of the holds then they will strp, she thought as she'd give Naruto everything he'd ask of her. How's a PP in your CNT feel compared to the stick you kept up your peach you dumb bee? Naruto asked, mocking the Thalmor ambassador currently having her TWT decimated by his thick PP. There will only be one thing to ever go up my peach MSTR and that is your majestic PP. Elenwen said, screaming out in pleasure at the thought of him in her peach. Ah, I love seeing a where know her true place, Naruto said with a grin as he spanked Elenwen's fat peach, making it jiggle as he thrust it into her tight TWT. All women will know their place when you take the throne MSTR, a true leader for the ages. Elisif said, out proudly as she thrusted two fingers into Maven's PP, making the criminal mastermind scream from her actions. All the women shivered at the thought of Naruto on the throne F them for eternity making the world knew he owned it as much as he owned them and just thinking of the women in his HRM servicing him every moment of every day. I love the sound of that. But what do you see of yourself Jarl? Are you just another mind-broken juice dump or are you seeing yourself as someone of value? Perhaps ahead of my vastly growing HRM? Naruto asked as he grabbed Elenwen by her hair and pulled making her Yes, I will stand by your side MSTR this bee is not my equal. Elisif said to him loudly. You are mistaken Elisif, Maven is not the leader of my HRM. Tsunade Senju is. Naruto said to her conjuring up an image for her to see. That drunken where? Elisif yelled in protest as even here she had heard of the shameless woman's name. If you can dominate Maven you'll be one step closer to claiming the position, Naruto told her with a smirk. He didn't care who was head of his HRM truthfully. He just liked inciting some conflict and competition between his bees. All the women now had fire in their eyes and F even harder than. Elenwen screamed as Naruto kept his word and shoved his member into her peach. After you finish with us MSTR I will send all my female soldiers in this manner to your room to keep you entertained, she said seeing he was nowhere near done. Naruto smirked at her attempt to please him and he was sure he'd kill some time with them. Maybe even break their loyalty to her and serve only him. It would certainly be a sight to see as the Thalmor's loyalty was said to be unbreakable. But here he was with a broken Thalmor ambassador begging for his PP like it was the last PP on Nern. I love the sound of that. Get ready for a reward for your loyalty. Naruto yelled as he felt his release start to leak. Maven and Elisif watched as Naruto stuffed Elenwen with his seed, filling her to the very brim seeing the look of euphoria on her face as Naruto filled her and soon she passed out twitching in pleasure. They became fearful and their entrances moistened from the look Naruto gave them. Elisif. Kneel before me, Naruto ordered as he sat on the edge of the bed after letting Elenwen fall to the bed face down peach up. Maven let the woman go wanting to see her be destroyed by her MSTR. I will carry his heir. Elisif thought not knowing how accurate her declaration was. Swear your loyalty to me. I want to hear your SBMSN before I allow you to even touch my PP, Naruto demanded with a smirk. Wanting to see how far the Jarl of Solitude would submit to him. Elisif began to kiss his PP not caring who it was in just moments ago. I will follow your every command, I will do everything you ask and more, my body will forever belong to you, and I will carry your child to seal our union and bond my MSTR, she said, kissing his member passionately. Hee how the mighty have fallen. Very well Elisif the fair. SCK, he ordered simply after he chuckled seeing how much she had truly submitted. Elisif did as instructed and handled herself well. Eating Naruto's PP as many had difficulty doing this task. She however, to Maven's and even Naruto's shock, deep-throated his PP in an instant. Something not even Tsunade was able to do. ODMN, Naruto grunted out, impressed with the Jarl's skill with her BLWJB. Elisif smirked as much as she could with a mouth filled with PP as she bobbed her head back and forth along his thick PP, time to see if you can handle my PP in your PP as well as your mouth, he said pulling out of her mouth before he picked her up and slammed into her very eager PP, making the woman scream from the sudden invasion. Elisif as she felt him break into her WMB, he's going to give me an heir, she thought feeling nervous now as this was the night her MSTR would impregnate her. Holy SHT. Your CNT is F tight. It may be the tightest one I've ever F. Naruto groaned out from the feeling of her very, very tight PP around his PP. Maven pouted at that, wanting to see the beast suffer even more, but she went to assist her MSTR instead till it was her turn. Next morning, Naruto woke up to the heavy stench of SEC as he looked around, seeing his women, and every female servant and soldier of the Thalmor that worked here, may have gone a little overboard, he thought, as he was sure this was gonna get around, and whether that was good or bad was up for debate. Before he could think more on this, however, he groaned from the feeling of a mouth enveloping his PP as soon as he awoke. He looked down to see Elisif eating on his PP reverently, as if it was a god in itself for her to worship. Well, I broke the queen. Maven will be pissed she's missing this. Naruto thought, seeing said woman sleep blissfully and not seem as terrifying as she was often seen. I see you're having fun, Dragonborn, a female voice said as Naruto turned to see a blushing Delphine sneak into the room. I thought you were avoiding this place, Naruto said as he knew the Thalmor were hunting her down fervently. As you ordered, I was to follow you, and I must say, it was not a bad show. Delphine said to him, playing coy as she killed the other guards who caught her masturbating to the show. Never knew the Jarl of Solitude was a pathetic wear, Delphine said in jest as she looked at Elisif still eating off Naruto. Not even acknowledging Delphine's presence. She knows her place. Right where? Naruto asked Elisif with a smirk. As do I, Dragonborn. Delphine said to him. Naruto wasn't blind to the open request of him wanting to F her, but he was going to make her earn it and wait. Naruto, without saying a word, pulled out a book from a seal and threw it to Delphine. That's all the info I got on the dragons from the Thalmor. They're looking for some dude named Esbern, Naruto said as he grabbed Elisif by her hair and pulled her down on his PP further by using her hair as a handle. Esbern? He's alive? Delphine questioned in utter shock. Someone you know? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. He was the archivist of the Blades. If anyone has dragon knowledge, it's him, Delphine said. Naruto thought that could be useful and thought about it deeply, and against Aluden knowledge would definitely tip the scales. Alright, you and I will head to Rift 10 then. We'll find this guy and see what he knows, Naruto told her as he pulled Elisif off his PP by her hair as he stood up. Anyone else you wish to bring with you, Dragonborn? Delphine asked as she tried not to fixate on his swinging PP. Just you and me. I have tasks for my other women for purchasing some property in Solitude and bringing some of my women there for when we're done finding the old man, Naruto said simply to the Blade Woman. Delphine nodded as they left to do their task after Naruto put on his armor. The two beginning their trek to Rift 10. Rift 10, 3 days after the Thalmor party. I swear having enhanced smell sucks. Naruto said as while the sewer in Rift 10 was cleaner than most, it didn't stop the smell from affecting him. We're almost there, I'm sure. Delphine said to her MSTR and Lord as she stabbed a skeever that leaped at her with her blade. I swear these things rarely drop anything useful. Naruto said as skeevers were scavengers at best and they stole shiny objects on occasion from corpses, and those were useful for enchanting. Except for the skeevers in this goddamn sewer apparently. They had nothing. Delphine felt embarrassed as she felt she was failing to serve the Blades leader here. By the gods, they should be out slaughtering dragons, not fighting rats in a frigging sewer. Soon, however, the duo came upon a sight of some hooded Thalmor walking around, searching the areas where the bums lived in the sewers. When they saw Naruto, they took a knee as he was now seen as a respected individual in their people's eyes. Elenwen herself claimed he was not to be crossed after he F her brains out after all. I shall take up the search here. You may return to the embassy, Naruto told them. Yes, my lord, the Thalmor said as they left without argument. Delphine smiled that her leader was getting the respect she knew he deserved. Naruto looked around the sewers a bit after they left. Okay, we have a paranoid ex-Blade hiding in a sewer. Where would I hide if I were him? Naruto muttered before the thought occurred to him. A hidden room. Naruto said as that was his best guess, as there was little else to do in a sewer. And as luck would have it, he spotted a door. Naruto tried to open it but it was locked. "Burn you in there?" Naruto asked but got silence. "Alright then. Delphine, let's break it down," Naruto ordered her. "Yes milord," she said as she readied her blade. Naruto readied his vampire powers as from what Delphine said about him. He was old school in a similar fashion to Danzo, so he was going to make him his vampire servant to get all his information then kill him. Before the two could bust the door they heard an old voice. "Delphine? Do my ears deceive me? Is that really you?" The voice said from behind the door. "Yes, and I brought the Dragonborn with me," Delphine said proudly, introducing Naruto. "Then we haven't much time. Let me undo the locks," the voice said as for 5 straight minutes he started undoing all the locks on the door. They both walked in seeing he lived in a decent space. "I should have the Thieves Guild use this, or have Maven use it," Naruto thought, as one could never have enough well-hidden spots. "It is good to see you, old friend," Delphine greeted the man. "Save the pleasantries for later. He's the Dragonborn?" the old man asked. "Yes, Esbern he is," Delphine answered. "Then we haven't much time to lose. Tell me what you know of the dragons." "Alduin has returned and is reviving deceased dragons. There are dozens upon dozens in Skyrim," Naruto said, keeping the information simple and short. "So it is the World Eater himself. This does not bode well," Esbern said as he went over to a table with dragon burial sites on a map as well as various books on the blades. Naruto listened to what he had to say and his interest was piqued at the mention of the Wall of Alduin. "If there is any way to defeat Alduin, it will be on that wall," Esbern said. "So we have to go to Sky Haven Temple," Delphine summarized. Naruto rolled his eyes as he stole a book from Esbern, and as they walked he read it as the man didn't pay much attention. "The Dragonbone Sword," he thought to himself as that sounded interesting. A sword forged from dragon bones and scales. Sharper than even Daedric weaponry. Truly a worthy weapon for him to wield. "We should make haste to Sky Haven Temple," Esbern said. Later that day, Delphine didn't sleep as Naruto had been talking to her about Esbern, and she had to admit the man was becoming a slight burden and was reminded that it was due to certain actions he did that resulted in the loss of many blades. And now she was offered his position by Naruto himself, as the man had been withholding valuable information that could have increased their chances, and that was a betrayal in her eyes. So currently the two had made a plan. After entering Sky Haven Temple he would read the wall, and only afterwards would his service come to an end. He was too much of a liability now. Too old. Too frail. Too paranoid. And too mistrustful. After traveling for another few hours the trio had arrived after slaughtering forsworn, saber cats, wolves, but finally they made it to the temple, which was closed off. Esbern took a look at the closed door and the pressure plate mechanism. "I believe the BLD of a Dragonborn is needed to open the door," Esbern informed the two. Naruto cut his palm and placed it on the pressure plate. He smiled as he felt the power in the plate seemingly, and the door opened to welcoming him. As they all walked in and saw the temple, "This temple needs some repairs. I'll send some of my girls to repair it," he thought to himself, as this place was for the Dragonborn. It'd make sense to get it up and running again, with blades not stuck in the old ways. The trio walked around before Esbern set his sights on a massive wall and started to read it. It appears this is Alduin's story. From his war with humans onward. It says there is a shout that can defeat him. One wielded by humans that led a rebellion ages ago. A shout, huh? Naruto thought, thinking it wouldn't be on any of the walls. He'd have to discuss this with the Greybeards. Maybe they'd know. Before long the trio searched the temple for anything else that may have been useful. As Naruto looked into the rooms he felt drawn to an armory and found a blade sitting on a table. One that he could feel the magic coming off of. "Dragonbane," Delphine said wide-eyed as she saw the blade when Naruto walked to it. "The sword that is said to cause immeasurable harm to any and all dragons," Esbern said, reaching for it, but before he could even touch the blade that haunted his dreams. Shink. You have lived long enough, old man. The old way of the blades has led to our downfall. I shall rebuild the blades in the Dragonborn's image. Delphine said as she ripped her blade from his back as the old man toppled to the floor. Why you would doom all we have stood for? Esbern asked as his breathing slowly stopped. You have done so already. Delphine said as she took a knee to Naruto, let me once again swear my allegiance to you, Dragonborn. Your wishes are mine to fulfill. From this day onward I serve your every whim, she said, holding her sword out for him as if he may use it himself if he wished. No, Esbern gasped and shook in fear when he saw the eyes of the last Dragonborn. He knew the Dragonborn could be any species and could become any species, but Naruto seemed superior to all of them, and it made him more frightening. He will doom us worse than Alduin ever could, he said as those eyes terrified him. No, he will save us. Delphine said, not fearing Naruto in the slightest. Merely in awe of his strength. The time of the blades of old is at an end. I shall reshape them in my image. As ones worthy of the title blades. And you, Delphine, have proved yourself worthy. I name you the Hand of the Dragonborn. Naruto told her. By Akatosh we are all doomed, Esbern gasped as he finally expired and passed. What is your first decree, my lord? Delphine asked, still on her knees waiting to serve him. What to do? What to do? Naruto muttered, looking at the appealing and kneeling woman with a grin. I know, strp yourself of your weapons and armor. Delphine wasted no time stripping bare before her lord. Standing in front of him as he walked around her. Inspecting her body like a piece of meat. She jumped slightly, seeing him bite his wrist and offer it to her. She had met plenty of vampires and werewolves to know what this was, and if he desired her to be like him she did not argue. She drank his BLD and felt her body light on fire. You are mine now. You shall be my hand leading the new blades for me. And now you are mine to use as I see fit. A tool if I desired it. Do you understand? Naruto asked as she felt her body changing, feeling any old wounds healing. Feeling her strength increase tenfold. Like she could punch a dragon to death. She felt amazing. I understand my MSTR, she spoke with reverence as the changes finally ceased, yet the fire remained. Her hunger remained. Her lust remained. Naruto smirked, seeing this, before holding out his arms. Strp me of my armor and clothes, he ordered her. Delphine did as instructed, making sure to take as much care of him as humanly possible. Careful not to make him feel any discomfort. Soon the two were on full display to each other. Naruto's hardened PP standing tall as Delphine looked at the glorious PP with a moistening PP. You belong to me, you are not tied down to your deceased husband. Nor are you tied to the original Blade organization. You are forever tied to me. Naruto told her. There is only you. Delphine said as her life was for him and him alone. Good now, leak to me. Fulfill your purpose, he ordered as he sat on the grand table in the temple and gestured to his large swinging PP with his hand. Beckoning her over. Delphine kneeled before him, her proper place she felt. She took in his scent and his musk and shivered in delight as this was a true man, nothing like her husband. Sck it, he ordered her firmly. He was tired of waiting. Delphine did as told, not wasting any time. He's massive, she thought, wondering if all Dragonborn were like this. I wish to see if I am able to prove the rumors false, she said as it was said it would take an army to please a single Dragonborn. She intended to service him so much she would be all he needed. Naruto found her goal adorable as it was one many of his women had, but failed to achieve. The blonde Nord engulfed her mouth around his pages. Swirling her tongue around the head of his PP before she started to slowly lower herself down his. Taking more and more into her mouth as she attempted to slowly deep-throat herself on his big PP. Try harder, Delphine, this will be one of the many responsibilities of the new blades. How will it seem if my hand can't please me? He asked with a smirk. Delphine held her GG reflex and took him in deeper, stretching out her throat as far as possible, taking him in further than before. If I fail, I don't deserve to serve him. She thought that'd be a fate worse than death. Not bad. You're about 3/4 of the way to fully taking my pages. Care to try some more? Naruto asked with a smug grin at the blade woman. Delphine shivered in both fear and excitement, unable to believe how massive he was before she physically forced herself to take his whole PP down her throat, gagging and choking as she did so. Naruto was impressed as she was choking on all of his PP, not a feat many of his lovers could claim on their first attempt. Well done, he told her, as it truly was an impressive feat. His praise however lasted only a second as he grabbed her blonde hair with his left hand and tugged it like a leash. Let's see how your throat does getting F though, he smirked as he started to pull her by her hair up and down along his length repeatedly. Delphine thought she saw stars as her MSTR was basically strangling her with his pages. Swearing she heard the horns in Sovngarde and saw her ancestors looking on as she thought she'd die from the lack of air. Her eyes rolling into the back of her head as she choked on his thick pages. As her MSTR used her face like the FOL it now was. Naruto saw the look she had and pulled out of her mouth, seeing her take deep heavy breaths both out of necessity and lust. Delphine knew what was next. Even in her oxygen-deprived state, she bent over the table and spread her peach cheeks, allowing him to see her soaking wet entrance, as she knew her lord and MSTR was thinking of just taking her by the hungry look in his eyes. And she would be more than happy to let him take her how he saw fit. Naruto walked behind her and, without any warning, slammed his PP inside her tight TWT. Spearing and hilting inside her moist CNT as he gripped her hips with his hands. The blonde woman screaming at this intrusion of her tight PP. Naruto ignored the Nordic woman's screams and started to PND hard and rough into her pages. Animalistically slamming into her like a wild, feral beast. Delphine felt honored to perform this duty for her leader, hoping to perform it again many times in the future. He's in my sacred spot, she thought, feeling even wetter as he was claiming every single part of her body for his use. Naruto growled as he moved a hand from her hips to her hair and tugged it back like a leash, making the blonde Nord yelp at his actions. Tell me how it feels, he ordered lustful. It feels as if I am being touched by the gods, but even that is a weak comparison. You are strong, my lord. I wish to always feel this pleasure serving you for eternity. Delphine yelled, as death would be an easier punishment than never being able to feel this again. Good answer, B. Naruto smirked as he moved his other hand from her hips to her large peach and slapped it, leaving a red mark on her cheek from the impact of the spank. Delphine screamed from his slaps to her rear, and even more so when he began to leak inside her, filling her up easily, and even as he pulled out he covered her lower back and her peach. He can impregnate an entire village, she thought, shivering as she felt his still hard member poking her peach, something no man has penetrated before. Ready to fully become mine, Delphine? Naruto growled in her ear. I have been ready since the moment you proved you were the Dragonborn. I wanted to serve you in every way, especially in combat, but this is even better. Delphine said in total honesty, unable to lie to him. Not that she would. He was her MSTR. She owed him full honesty. Perfect answer, SLT. Here's your reward. Naruto yelled before he slammed his thick PP inside her virgin peach, stretching her peach hole in ways it had never been stretched before by his mammoth-sized PP. OF. Delphine screamed as if to the very heavens, so that every plane of existence could hear her screams and cries of pleasure as her MSTR used her body. The table where so much history of the blades had taken place was soiled by the start of its new chapter. The two pounded away at it till not an inch was clean. 6 hours later, Naruto sat on a seat meant for the Dragonborn, looking at the sword Dragonbane, Delphine laying on the table covered in many bodily fluids, unconscious. This blade, he thought, feeling how right and dangerous it felt to wield, must be the dragon part of me, he thought, guessing that was why he felt the danger. After a moment he stood up and walked towards his discarded armor and clothes as he started to put them back on. He'd have to see the graybeards soon after all. He thought it would be better to see them as soon as possible. Are you alive? Naruto asked to Delphine, who was still sprawled out on the table. Why, yes. Delphine breathed out in a hitched voice, her body still feeling wave after wave of pleasure. Good. I shall have you clean this place up and start recruiting potential warriors to the new Blades Order, Naruto told her. Delpine nodded as the cobwebs and how dirty this place was not suited for her MSTR. As you take care of this, I shall head to Whiterun and recruit some people for the trip to High Hrothgar, Naruto told her, making her nod obediently. He was the Dragonborn. Nothing would stop her MSTR. Nothing was a threat to him. And so Naruto walked out of the temple after dressing himself, leaving his hand to recover and fulfill her duties. Hours later, Naruto was walking along the road to Whiterun when he saw two figures in robes and masks that approached him. Are you the Dragonborn? One of the robed figures asked. A male. Naruto was curious as he saw they were all dressed identically, not from any holds or factions I'm aware of, he thought, nodding at them. Imposter. Lord Mirik is the one true Dragonborn, the female of the two said. Naruto did not know the name, but something about it seemed old. The two robed figures had fire erupt from their hands and sent it at the blonde Dragonborn, who simply sidestepped their flames. You wanna play with fire, YOL? Naruto shouted, seeing them get pushed back by the force of his flames and get right back up. Okay, this is odd, he thought to himself, as not many could take a one-word shout and still stand. Before he drew his blade. It WWS tight to get serious. Few minutes later. Naruto strppd the corpses of the cultists, thinking their clothes would be useful for some infiltration. These idiots were a calling card, he thought, as the note of orders they had was far too detailed to be anything but an invitation to him. I'll handle this later. Aljuan is far more pressing, he thought, as he had some loose ends to tie up. I'll send a message to Delphine. These idiots claim to serve a Dragonborn, the Blades must keep records, he thought, walking straight to Whiterun, being welcomed by all he passed. Honor to the Dragonborn. Glory to the Dragonborn. Hail to the Dragonborn. Naruto chuckled at that, but thanked them all the same. Service the Dragonborn. Tsunade said, smiling as she saw her lover and owner of her body finally return. I'm back and we have some issues to take care of, Naruto said. And we shall. But first, Tsunade said, smirking as she bent over and showed her cleavage, shoving it in his eyes. Care to accompany me to the bedroom, MSTR? She flirted out. Also, you've been made Thane in your absence. The Jarl saw it as an opportunity to protect Whiterun, she said to him, as it was a smart play, as no one would be dumb enough to invade the home of the Dragonborn, and he gave you such a lovely servant, she said with a grin. Wasn't expecting that. Let me meet this servant, he ordered Tsunade, who nodded and brought him to their home. Long life to you, my Thane, a Nord woman with black hair kneeled before him as soon as he opened the door to his home. She'll do anything. Tsunade whispered into his ear as she circled around him, as if acting like the devil on his shoulder, telling him to do such awful things that he'd enjoy doing. Naruto grinned at this before he shook his head. As much as he'd love to do that, there were pressing matters. We need to discuss something first, Naruto told her seriously. One dragon-sized explanation later. And that's about it, Naruto told her. Two things. First, I want to be turned. Tsunade said as Naruto granted her wish easily, and second, with the war going on, and your private war with the dragons, you should obtain more words for your shouts to increase your arsenal. Tsunade said as that was the best course he could take, as more and more dragons had been popping up. I agree. I'll ask Hulda to keep an ear out with her network for any word walls in dungeons and caves and such, Naruto said simply. Perfect. Now, why don't you come to bed? Tsunade asked as it was midnight now. Far too late to get anything ready quest-wise. Besides, I'm sure you missed your Kage, she grinned. Oh, I won't be missing you much, you'll be coming with me this time. Naruto said, slapping her peach, making her and giggle. Get the other cheek, MSTR, she giggled out, while Naruto's housecarl, Lydia, looked on with a fierce blush, as it was her duty to attend to her Thane and she lived in his home. It would be next to impossible not to see, let alone hear their actions, especially when Tsunade removed the doors to her room along with Naruto's. Hours later. Naruto was asleep after playing with Tsunade. The blonde woman out cold and covered in his essence. Tsunade slept on her lover's chest with a smile on her face. To be like him, she thought, feeling the powers of a werewolf and vampire within her. My magic is stronger, she thought as she assumed it was the vampire part of her and the werewolf gave her more physical power. As she drifted off to sleep, however, they didn't notice a figure in red and black robes enter through the window of their house and approach the bed, throwing a small bag into a nearby fire. 2 hours later. Naruto groaned from sunlight hitting his face. Oh crp, I was drugged, he thought, recognizing the symptoms, aconite and something else, he thought, as someone did their homework on what he was. And saw he was outside Whiteron's walls in the fields. Well, now you're quite stubborn. I thought you'd be out far longer. And we're not even close to the shack, a woman's voice said. Naruto's eyes slitted before becoming a blazing orange and ripped the rope that was binding him. Not the first time I've fought naked, he thought as he saw the woman momentarily pause to look down at his equipment. Mind if I cut to the chase, the woman said as Naruto gave a nod. You stole a contract from us. Remember that orphanage runner? Grelad, she asked him. Naruto remembered as he paid the orphanage a visit, spending time with the kids before screwing the brains out of the woman he let live from before. She was our contract. So we have a problem. The Dark Brotherhood has a problem with that, she told him in annoyance, so we either have to kill you, or you have to join us to make the contract official, she said to him, still looking down occasionally, unable to stop looking at his third leg. Before I decide, can I get your name? I mean, you are starting at my PP like it's the last PP on Earth, so the least I can get is a name, Naruto requested with a smirk. Astrid. Astrid said to him. Naruto used the vampire servant power he had on her. Tell me everything about the Dark Brotherhood, he said quickly, as the vampire servant spell was not perfect as those with strong wills could fight it, and unlike the old BSTRD Delphine killed, she was not weak. Astrid, still under the influence of his power, told him about their secret hideouts and their agents. Not a bad setup, I'm impressed. Naruto thought, as unlike most these were true assassins. They stuck to the shadows faithfully. His main issues stemmed from their targets they hunted. For a few hundred gold they'd kill anyone, be they a bard, a beggar, a warrior, a solitaire, jarl, etc. As long as they got paid, it didn't matter. I'm gonna take over the Thieves Guild, why not this other organization as well? Naruto thought as he was still trying to kill Mercer Fry, so this provided some opportunities as long as Carlia and Conan found the evidence to incriminate Fry. Gah! Astrid yelled as her mind finally conned out against his spell after spilling everything she could. What are you? She asked, as no one had dominated her mind for that long before. You know what I am. Naruto said as she used vampire and werewolf poison to keep him knocked out. I thought it was a joke. Astrid said as many could change between vampire and werewolf, but never had she thought the rumors about him being both were true. It's not. Now you said my options are A, you kill me, or B, I join the Brotherhood, correct? Naruto asked for confirmation. Yes. Astrid repeated, confused at why he was asking that when she said at first chance she could. I'll join, but I should make something clear, I intend to weed out the more weak-minded sort. Naruto said as killing was okay, but to kill children and the innocent because some person offered enough coin was downright shameful. You will not go against the Brotherhood. Dragonborn or not, Astrid glared as she pulled out a black-colored dagger and held it up ready to strike. You should have listened. Now I have to break you, Naruto sighed out, shaking his head. The woman had guts for sure, at least. Astrid screamed when she felt him bite into her neck and soon felt her world go black. 1 hour later. Astrid felt like her body was on fire, feeling such an intense rush. I made you my thrall, your mind is open to me and you shall obey. Naruto said to her simply. I shall obey, Astrid repeated as she took a knee and bowed to him. Now time for the much harder questions. Naruto said before unloading questions as he got the names of each member and was surprised when he heard the name Taiyuya was among them. Can't believe that Crazy Bee ended up there. Actually I can, he thought, remembering the Sound 4 girl well. Now with that out of the way, who do you serve, Astrid? Naruto asked. I serve you. Astrid said to him honestly. And what were your intentions with me? Naruto asked her. I was going to test you, but after seeing your PP I wanted a taste. Astrid said as her husband was not satisfactory in bed and there were little options in her group. What would you offer me for just a taste? Naruto asked with a smirk. All the gold in my pocket. Astrid said to him. Naruto was curious to how much she had and saw she was carrying mostly jewels which summed up to 3,000, well at least she doesn't think I'm cheap, he thought to himself. Give me the money and then STRP. I'll let you have a taste and if you do well enough I'll use your other holes. Naruto told her. Astrid gave him the bag and took off her clothes. Naruto smiled as he was lucky Astrid was the one who decided to try and kill him as she had no true faith in the Night Mother and saw herself as the true leader of the Dark Brotherhood and she was privy to all their information. And now she was his. His to use. His thrall. His tool. His. Good. Now SCK at where Naruto ordered her as she got to work, where might be accurate, he thought as the woman in an instant engulfed his PP fully into her mouth. Effortlessly taking it fully down her throat with no issue. No gags, no choking. Just taking it without a problem. The blonde, Nord, assassin on her knees before him swirled her tongue around and around his and crown. Her eyes filled with reverence and lust as she pleased her MSTR. Her true lord. Good where Naruto smirked as he petted the top of Astrid's head like a house pet. Astrid wanted to fight this, but every single muscle and instinct she had was telling her to do the opposite and give in. He had already turned her. She was his to use. She knew it. So why would she fight it? Naruto gripped her blonde hair and pulled her off of his pages. Looking her in the eyes as she gazed at him with pure worship and lust. This made him smirk at his newest devotee. I take it she's broken. Tsunade asked, making her presence known as she walked through the field and looked at Astrid in annoyance as the woman had dared to kidnap Naruto when she was with him. Luckily she only made it outside of Whiterun, but even so it angered Tsunade. Indeed. We have a new playmate. And she's one that has given me information about 2 more to claim. Naruto said with a grin. Tsunade licked her lips hungrily at that as they began to play and enjoy. Astrid, prepare yourself B, she thought in amusement. As she went behind Astrid and lifted her up in a full Nelson. Making the blonde, Nord woman's legs spread for Naruto to F. Naruto saw the invitation Tsunade was giving him and he wasted no time thrusting into Astrid, making the assassin woman scream. After we're done rearranging your holes you're gonna bring us to your sanctuary. Understand where? Today the Dark Brotherhood falls to me. Think I'll rename it the Dark Sisterhood? Naruto smirked since he intended for females only to please him. Tsunade liked the sound of that. Yes MSTR. My sisters and I shall live to serve you till the end of time and beyond. Astrid out as the Dragonborn pummeled her PP while Tsunade held her restrained to get F. It was her use after all. Her MSTR deemed it as such. When we get there you will have the honor of slaying your former husband, Naruto told her as he grabbed at one of the assassin's large, bouncing, melons to play with. Astrid felt momentary dread, but then thought why as her husband had not been attentive to her or even very encouraging with her running the Brotherhood. In fact she was wondering what her true loyalty to the Brotherhood even was, and the longer she thought about it no answer came. I will slay any you deem my blade worthy to kill. I am your weapon and tool MSTR, Astrid spoke reverently to her new MSTR. To her new god. Good, now prepare yourself my ware of darkness. Naruto shouted as he felt his ball tighten up. Ready to unload inside of the former Brotherhood leader's TWT. To mark her once and for all as his to use as he saw fit. With a scream of pleasure echoing through the fields, Astrid's cries woke many in Whiterun as she felt Naruto's hot juices flood her depths. Her eyes rolled into the back of her head as she felt pleasure she had never felt in her lifetime. Tsunade let the assassin fall to the ground from her grasp. Her body lying limp as juices leaked pouring from her holes. Gather Lydia, Aela, and Tsunade. We have assassins to assassinate. 4 hours later. Falkreath was such a dreary hold. Constant funerals, fog, and a hold in the middle of a massive graveyard. No wonder the Brotherhood had their base close by to it. It was right at home. That's what ran through Naruto's mind as him, Tsunade, Lydia, Aela, and Tsum, followed Astrid to the sanctuary. You made a spell? Naruto asked at the Dark Brotherhood entrance. Yes, those cultists you fought were from the same land. This spell is conjugation, summoning Ash Atronach. Tsunade explained how the wild Atronach that could be controlled through a special heartstone she made. Naruto watched as she summoned it, seeing it bore resemblance to the storm version. He saw it enter the sanctuary and basically caused a fire as the room filled with burning ash like a volcano, and soon followed the screams. Tsunade liked this particular Atronach as it was harder to kill and much harder to banish. So we weren't needed then? Aela asked, gesturing to herself, Tsum, and Lydia. Tsunade sent a superior smirk to them that pissed them off. Tell me, will that Atronach attack everything in sight? Including the people we need alive? Naruto questioned. No, the one benefit to this spell is it won't attack an ally or someone the user deems a non-threat. Tsunade said as it took a lot for an Atronach to disobey. Very well. Tsum, Aela, Lydia, find Astrid's husband and restrain him. She will be the one who ends him. Naruto ordered the 3 warrior women. They went inside as Ash began to air out from the door. Impressive, Naruto said, seeing ashes litter the ground that he would tell were once bodies of Brotherhood members, judging by the remains of robes and armor. Look at this clown. Tsum said, being completely serious as she saw a man in a red and black jester outfit next to a large coffin. This almost feels mean, she said, as this man was truly pathetic. No, please spare poor Cicero. He only wishes to attend to his dear, sweet mother, the jester begged in front of the coffin. Please. Tsum said, rolling her eyes. Well, now let's hear him out. I take it that's the Night Mother, correct? Naruto asked the cowering jester in front of the closed coffin. Yes. Cicero is the keeper of our dear sweet Night Mother, Cicero said. Naruto looked at the coffin, and after dealing with the Shinigami he knew it would be a good idea to end the Night Mother's influence once and for all. Then tell me, if I were to end the Night Mother hypothetically, what would Cicero do? Naruto asked the jester. I'd kill you. Cicero said, gaining a spine momentarily and revealing a dagger up his sleeves only to be punched to the ground by Astrid. Cicero knew you could not be trusted, he said in anger. The time of the Brotherhood and the Night Mother has passed. I serve a new lord, Astrid spoke. Open the coffin, Naruto ordered Aela and Lydia. The 2 Nords opened the Night Mother's coffin, revealing her desiccated and decayed corpse. I'll give you a final embrace with the Night Mother. You 2 will perish together. Naruto said before grabbing Cicero and throwing him inside the casket in front of the Night Mother. What are you doing? Cicero demanded in terror. Ending weak BLD. Tsum said as she looked to Aela as she handed her a flaming arrow which Tsum stabbed inside the coffin. Do as you were instructed. Tsunade said to Astrid, who nodded, looking at her restrained husband carrying a sword as she cleaved his head right off without hesitation. His BLD spraying her and coating her armor. Aela was bored transforming into her wolf form, and while now a hybrid like Naruto, she still disliked vampires, so she felt no guilt killing the little girl who smelled like a res, while everyone slaughtered the remaining Brotherhood members barring Taiyuya and Gabriella, who Astrid herself restrained. 10 minutes later. The Dark Brotherhood was no more, but something caught Naruto's attention outside. Never thought I'd see you again, he said as the Shinigami rose from a nearby pool of water with a black horse. Meanwhile, the women brought Taiyuya and a dark elf woman named Gabriella out with them to see what was happening. You have done me a great service, the mummified bee was keeping souls. Shinigami said, brushing the horse. I rarely reward those who do their job correctly, Naruto, but this was a huge favor, he said, as the Night Mother was someone he wanted extinguished for a long time, but could never do it himself. Shadowmere here is your assassin lady's mount, but I think he'll do well under your care. the Shinigami stated as the dark horse with glowing red eyes walked towards him. Naruto felt the darkness from the beast, but it was more gentle and controlled than anything he had seen. Now for your true reward, I will give you the souls of people from your land for each desecrator you killed. Shinigami said as he didn't care that they were killers, but the Dark Brotherhood stole his souls in the name of his and that wrinkled hag. The Shinigami held his purple glowing hands as multiple figures emerged from the pool of black liquid, crawling out from it as the water fell off of them. Hana. Tsum called surprised her daughter was here. Mother. Hana said in shock seeing a more youthful version of her mother. Has she been dominated? She thought in shock smelling the strong scent of another man on her. Where the hell am I? A woman with auburn hair and pink lips in a blue dress asked confused. Hey May. Tsunade said in amusement as she was an old acquaintance and had met her to discuss negotiations before Pain's attack. Tsunade. What's going on? May questioned. We'll explain later, Tsunade told her as people were still emerging. Tsunade-sama, a stoic voice said as a woman with long purple hair in umbu armor came up from the pool. Yugao. Tsum raised an eyebrow knowing the umbu well but was not expecting her. Where am I? A girl with long black hair and a headband with a music note on it asked Lord Naruto, she said, seeing him and bowed. Kept her as a maid. Shinigami said as Kin was a servant he had and she saw him keep an eye on Naruto as he was one of the few he liked to keep an eye on. Kin. The F. Taiyuya exclaimed in shock seeing her friend alive again. She was the only person in the Sound Village she could stand after all. My lady, a woman with short dark brown hair said exiting the pool, blushing up a storm. Ah, there are her ties. Tsunade thought as with seals no longer an option in this world, the impressive rack Shizun hid was now free. Hot DMN. Naruto said wide-eyed looking at Shizun's chest. And she's all yours MSTR, she's your SLV now. Tsunade said as while Shizun argued with her, she'd never go against any order she had. Say what? Shizun asked surprised at what Tsunade said. We'll talk later. Tsunade said as one more person emerged from the pool. Is this a genjutsu? A woman with raven black hair asked as she crawled out of the pool. If it is, I don't want to break free. Tsunade said with a smirk seeing the genjutsu MSTRS herself. So he brought you here Kurinai, Tsunade said with a smirk. The sisterhood now has such appealing members now that will serve you my lord, Astrid said to Naruto with a bow of reverence. Gonna need an explanation, May said as she was very confused on what was happening. Come inside the sanctuary and we shall explain. Tsunade told the gathered women and their two prisoners while the Shinigami disappeared in a flash of purple light. One very, very long explanation later. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video till then goodbye.